Welcome back to episode 18 of the Grit Code Podcast, a place where we decode the steps to success on and off the field. I'm 11-year NFL veteran, three-time Pro Bowler Dante Whitner, alongside number 378 NFL Hall of Famer and 49ers legend Patrick Willis, and with us each and every week, Bay Area TV and radio analyst Mr. Rod Brooks. Guys, I hope you had a holly jolly Christmas. The 49ers and Brock Purdy, they're dishing out gifts for sure. And with that incredible display of offensive firepower on both sides of the ball, the Chicago Bears and the 49ers outlasted the Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football. How impressed were you guys with this victory, this big victory in prime time? And what concerns are still lingering?
I mean, I was impressed, by the fact that the Niners offense, we talk about defenses, where defense travels. You can go anywhere and beat anybody as long as you have a good defense. Well, the Niners have that. They have that in reverse. The Niners have an offense where I think they can go anywhere, play anybody at any time, and win. And they have to, because the Niners defense, and I give them credit, because they are taking this bend but don't break thing to the nth degree, whereas it looks shaky for a good amount of while. And then all of a sudden, when plays need to be made, as they needed to be made on the Bears' last almost touchdown drive, they made them. Saleh calls some blitzes when he didn't do it for the majority of the game. They might not have gotten there, but it was enough to make Caleb Williams move, to make him inaccurate, causing passes to be dropped. To me, the play of the game, if Deommodore Lenoir does not square up and make that tackle on that hook and lateral, we're having a completely different conversation about that game. And the last play where they were supposed to rush, but two guys dropped out, Huff goes to the flat to go to Swift. That makes Caleb Williams have to think. Then Huff reverses course and he goes to Swift. And by that time, or goes to Caleb Williams. By that time, it's too late. They eventually make enough plays to win. But for the first 3/4 of that game, you're looking at that Niner defense going, bruh.
Pat, how are you feeling?
Yeah,
knowing that you're a defensive guy and they're really relying on the offense to lead this team.
Yeah, as we said coming into this year, they didn't have the best season last year, but they had veteran leadership. They still had guys on this team that with the schedule they had, they felt like they could win 10, 11 games. Obviously, with a lot of the adversity they had faced with, the guys going down on defense, particularly Bosa and Fred, man, I'm impressed with the fact that they just keep showing up and they keep fighting. We talk about it often. You got to have grit, and they've showed that. Obviously, they have not been what we've been calibrated to see, but they've showed backbone and they've made enough plays. I think they do have to tighten it up across the board. But, man, at the end of the day, when you look up, you get that win on the scoreboard, it's a lot easier to go in and work on those mistakes and keep on correcting them. So I'm gonna keep riding with them.
I agree with you on that comment right there, Pat. Yeah. It's always good to correct your mistakes after a victory. But me being meticulous and understanding defensive play, knowing how I comb through the film with like a fine-tooth comb, I'm very disappointed in this defense. I'm very disappointed on every level. And I'm not talking about the entirety of the game. There's some times out there where they have some flashes. They'll get some TFLs. They'll get some PBUs. They'll make an almost interception. They'll make a big play here and there. But the entirety and totality of the defense, I'm very disappointed. Starting with the front, the lack of pass rush. We talked about that multiple times. The displacement of run gaps on the second level and the third level. The defensive backs and their run lane pursuit. How a lot of times they're over eager when all you have to do is slow down, understand where your help is, break down and make a tackle. Those guys are flying up like bats out of hell, and it's hurting the defense. But most importantly, I'm very, very disappointed in the secondary. When you talk about communication on the back end, when you talk about displacing a nickelback that's blitzing and deciphering which route you're going to cover, giving up easy routes, when you're talking about Malik Mustafa and Jair Brown consistently giving up big plays, and particularly in cover two, you have to know that they're going to attack you back there. And some of it is on the defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh. Because a lot of times when you're bringing that backside safety like Malik Mustafa over, You want to take away a speed wide receiver that's going to be on a linebacker. In that instance, Ben Johnson outsmarted Robert Saleh because he aligned the tight end at number one. He went quick motion, and now all of a sudden you got the slow tight end who a linebacker can cover, now being doubled by a backside safety and an inside underhang linebacker and leaving Jair Brown out to dry. So that wasn't necessarily Jair Brown's fault. They have to tweak some things within the system so that Malik Mustafa can stay in the deep half and the linebacker can stay on the tight end. So I'm particularly disappointed in the secondary, and I know people don't want to hear this. That's the type of defensive performance that will get you sent home early in the playoffs. And I can particularly remember, Pat, you remember the New York Giants game?
Yeah.
When Kyle Williams fumbled that punt and we were kicking the New York Giants' ass and we were supposed to win that game?
Yeah.
It'll get you sent home, a home game in the playoffs. And you want to know something I never told anybody? I cried like a fucking baby when we lost that game. I had the hiccups all the way home to San Jose from Candlestick. I had snot coming out my nose, Pat. My mother was in the car. It's going to be okay. I'm like, no, the fuck it's not. My feelings were hurt. And if the 49ers aren't careful, that defense could be to your detriment and get you sent home early, whether you're the number one seed or not.
So let me back both of you guys up in what you're saying. But first and foremost, I want to let people know from Candlestick Park, which is the south part of San Francisco, to San Jose, that's like an hour car ride. So D was boo-hooing.
Yeah, you know when you cry, you like,
They
was like, man, I was a kid and I got a spanking.
And with traffic, that's like an hour and 15-minute, hour 20 car ride. So D was boo-hooing, understandably, for a long time. I thought, and I said this after the game, I thought Ben Johnson got the best of Robert Saleh at various points in times in the game. He had an answer for everything Robert Saleh threw. And Robert Saleh had to throw a lot of stuff out there because of deficiencies on that defense, because of what they don't have, in terms of certain players being out due to injury. But what I find, and Dante, I think you're right. As much fun as this Niner team is, I just have a hard time looking at that defense going, when they start to see better competition, and the Bears are the better competition, it's going to get even better than that with Seattle, and then however far you go in the playoffs, that bend but don't break is eventually going to break. But I will say this, and this is what impresses me about this Niner defense, that they don't allow their deficiencies, what they don't have with guys being out due to injuries or the big plays they may give up for whatever reason, they don't allow that to keep them down. You see a lot of teams where they give up big play or they give up chunk play after chunk play after chunk play, and eventually it takes a toll and they just completely and totally fold. This Niner team will make mistakes. They will give up plays. They will give up touchdowns. They got involved in the shootout, but that defense never, I'll just use the word quit. It never quit. And I do think that there is something to that mindset of, hey, we know we don't have it in certain areas. We know we are mistake prone, especially on the back end. We know we don't have a pass rush, but that's not going to keep us from staying in the fight, and eventually staying in the fight means that things are going to come out their way. So I do think
you foresee
there's something you got to give them.
49er offense being able to move up and down the field consistently in the playoffs and score on 5 consecutive possessions.
No. I don't think so. But here's the thing. I don't think they're going to have to do that to the extreme. But I will say this:
defense is playing, Rod, they're going to have to do that. It's a lot of pressure on the offense. It's easy to play defense if you know that your offense is going to score points. Mm-hmm. But let that offense start struggling, go some 3 and outs, some punts in the playoffs. Can you get the football back and back to the offense if they have half the output that they're putting out right now? 48 points. Let's cut that to 24. As a defense in the NFL, Pat, if we hold them to under 24 points, are we supposed to win?
Yeah, we're supposed to win. You should.
So if you just take half the output and you put that same defense in the scenarios, will they hold up or will they fold? I'm leaning more towards the fold side right now because it's easy to keep the confidence and the effort when Brock Purdy and the boys are scoring points and you're like, okay, we know we're going to get it back. But what about when you don't know you're going to get it back?
Yeah, that you're right, Dante, and that's been the culprit. That's been the thing. The offense they've been great, and you would hope that they stay great. But just as you said, if they have to get the ball back, can they do it? What I'll say is I won't use the word disappointing because again, now if they had their full squad and they wasn't doing anything or they were still having trouble in this matter, yeah, I would probably be disappointed. But I think maybe I would be more frustrated that you're not able to find a way to, maybe make more things happen. And I can most definitely tell you, like, man, these guys are up here tirelessly night and day putting in the work. But like you say, Dante, when you get to the playoffs, something does change. Old head told me this. He said the playoffs is one. He said regular season is one level, playoffs is another. No, I'm sorry, preseason is one level, regular season is another, and playoffs is another level. And I will be honest with you, man. My first 4 years in the league, we didn't do anything. We had 500. We going home in January. When we made it to 2011. We made it to that playoffs. I remember a difference in what it felt like. The regular season was one way. You got into those playoffs, it went another.
It's hard to catch your fucking breath out there for the first
it was
couple
hard.
series, isn't
Yeah,
it, Pat?
man, you can't everything.
You can't
Man.
see. Shit is blurry. It's moving faster. And then when you get in the Super Bowl with all those fucking lights flashing, it's even faster.
I couldn't feel.
That's why we fell behind in the Super Bowl, is because that shit was another level of football, Rod. It's like incredible.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Pat.
And so that's why you shut the lights off in the Superdome, so you
Hey,
can
We need to
recalibrate.
catch our breath.
I still say we needed. A lot of people talk about that, but I said we needed that. We needed a break or something, man, because we had to get our feet back under us or something.
Listen, Rod, I couldn't remember the calls out there. I made the calls all year long. Pat and Navarro looking back at me. I'm giving them the call. Tricks, this. Man, they looking at me like, what's going on? I can't fucking remember.
Man, hey, that's real. I mean, Dante, that is real. I literally just told somebody that the other day. I said, man, it is real when they say if you've been there before, the team that's been there before has a better chance. Because had we went back again in 2013, man, I would feel I was ready. I was more poised. I was like, man, I'm gonna be calm. I ain't doing none of this stuff. I ain't doing nothing. I did that.
Me either.
Work that much harder. But yeah, it's different. It's different. But they have one more game coming up, which is going to be huge for them. If they can get this win, they'll get a bye, which I think will be huge for their team. Because what I'm looking at is I'm looking at output. Yes, their offense is, man, they're in rhythm. They're scoring a lot of points. But I just hope they can keep that, sustain that at the level that they're doing it. And they've been doing it all year long, but you know how it is. The momentum is, you always want to pick up that momentum towards the end so that you feel like you starting to do this. They've been just, lately they've been on fire. And so if they can keep it going, like anything.
Well, with the defensive side of the ball, I feel like last 4 weeks, they've been incrementally getting worse each and every week as I'm watching them. And a lot of times perception is perception versus reality. Do you think that the way the 49ers defense, even if they win games, is the perception going to affect Robert Saleh's head coaching candidacy?
No, I don't think so. I think people look at the job that he's done this year without the players that he would normally have available, mainly and obviously Fred and Bosa, and the job he's done with this defense to kind of vibe with this bend but don't break. I think is only going to increase his chances. I'm not sure that he's going to leave the Niners anyway, just because of the quality of jobs that will be available. I think the Raider job is going to be available. I think I'd rather be the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers than the head coach of the Raiders, because it's the Raiders.
And
using that as an example. Yeah.
And Dante too, like I feel like, just as Rod is saying, if they have, it takes time to work. It takes time to build that nucleus on defense that you love to see. Now, obviously, in 2011, that year, it's like we just picked up with the free agency, the draft picks, and the guys we already had. But those guys are young, and you know how it is. You got to communicate, and that's what I'm not seeing a whole lot of. But I also would say too, had they have a little bit of pass rush, I think that helps. That helps the secondary. That helps the whole squad. But they do have to tighten it up and find a way to.
Well, another way they can tighten it up is fundamentals. They're totally lacking fundamentals. A lot of those bootlegs where you see guys take false steps and they get a guy cross their face and he's open to the flat. What is that, Pat? That's eyes, right?
Fundamentals.
If you're the backside defender and you're responsible for the B or the C gap, you have to have long vision. I have to see the tight end or wide receiver close to the formation on the other side, and I can read through his release if it's a run or a pass.
Mm-hmm.
That's fundamentals.
Yeah.
When you're playing a hinge technique, Diamador Lenore, and you give up a 27-yard pass, what are you taught? You're taught not to get up and press. You're taught to be 4 to 5 yards off to give yourself some room, get a jam on the receiver, hinge out to the sideline, break up on the short. But you don't do that. You get caught up on the low. You give up 27 yards. The linebackers in gap displacement. What are you taught? If you're responsible for a gap, you have to hit that gap on the leverage that you're supposed to and maintain it. Disengage from the block, make a tackle. They're not doing that. So even though I feel like they are out talented when they face a lot of these offenses, and especially in the playoffs, the fundamentals are lacking. If you're just fundamentally sound and you communicate at a high level, and you play off each other and you tackle well and you understand run gaps and pursuit lanes, you won't give up 38 points.
Yeah.
You'll give up 21 points. You'll have the ability to make plays on the football, but you will not give up that amount of points. And what I saw in that game last week was a lack of fundamentals, which quickly have to be repaired. Let's go over to the offensive side of the ball. Let's brighten it up in here. The offensive side of the ball is having a pretty good run the last 4 weeks. Brock Purdy particularly accounts for 10 touchdowns. Is it a lot of pressure to ask the offense, like we just talked about, to continue this through this week, 1 week off, through the early parts of the playoffs and whatever strong team you may face? Is it fair to ask them to keep this type of output up?
No, I don't think it's unfair at all. I think it's necessary, and I think that offense, they want it. They know how good they are, and right now they feel like they can get anything on anybody.
Yeah.
How you want it? You want us to throw the ball down the field? Well, Brock Purdy's averaging 9.8 yards per attempt, so we got you like that. Or you want us to run the ball? Or we could do that too. Back-to-back games where McCaffrey has over 100 yards. They had 200 yards total rushing without Trent Williams for basically the entirety of the game. He got hurt on the first play, and without George Kittle. How you want us to attack you? You want us to do it, slow, but would choke you out like an anaconda, or do you want it to be a quick strike? That's why and everything you guys are saying about the Niners defense is 100% spot on, every single thing. But I'm telling you, the way that this offense is rolling and how they can get it any way they want to live, I'm confident, because they got a playoff game coming up this week, all right, against the Seahawks. Okay, it's not a playoff game in the true traditional sense, but it's a playoff game. As great as that Seahawks defense is, and it is really, really, really good, the way the Niners offensive line has been playing, hey man, much better than they have over the past few weeks. Going up against that Seattle defensive line, if they hold up like they've been holding up the last few weeks, Brock Purdy's got time, the routes are developing downfield, anything is available. I think this offense can be, as it's been in the regular season, it could be the tip of the spear in the playoffs, and they could score enough points. However, they need to do that, I think, to supplement the issues on the defense.
And I agree with you. I think it's time to give Christian McCaffrey his flowers fully.
100%.
Legend status.
Come on, son.
It's time to shatter the injury-prone narrative. Think about how he kept this offense afloat on his shoulders, how Mac Jones leaned on him in the run game and the pass game. This past week was probably the best game I've seen from Christian McCaffrey in the last 3 years.
Facts.
When I'm watching him, you would think he would be stopped. He's surging through the defense, the second and the third level. And then his footwork, the twitchy footwork, those cutbacks were phenomenal.
Yeah.
To be able to jump inside, get outside, get to the sideline on that 43-yard run.
And then accelerate.
Was just incredible. So when you hear people say, oh, Christian McCaffrey is slowing down, shut the fuck up. You don't know football. You never watched football. You never played football. Christian McCaffrey is solidifying himself as a legendary status, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they are doing a great job as a whole from top to bottom what I love most about that offense when I look out there is that, one, they can run the ball. They've found a rhythm in how they run the ball, but it's the mismatches that the offensive coordinator is getting on these defenses. For me as a defender, I always look like speaking of the look, I call it see the formation. When they had that 3-by-1, the touchdown they scored on Dante was talking about, the first thing I always did, like especially as a linebacker, I look to see who that number 3 is, because where I was looking at it, I was like, all right, they right outside the take a shot zone in that 40, but who's that number 3? And that number 3 was that number 3 was a receiver. And usually when you see a receiver at the number 3, they want to mismatch, or they want to try to get him fast and through the zone. But then how it all played out was, it ended up the tight end still ended up becoming number 3, but it's just one of those things where you identification, communication, and execution. As simple as that. But I love what I'm seeing from the offense. I love that the receivers are blocking their tails off down the field. I love that Kyle finds a way to find a mismatch. And as I heard them say in the press conference, he almost uses the offenses he uses the defense momentum against them. And so, man, whatever they're doing, keep it going, keep it hot. It's amazing.
I'll tell you another thing that's really helping them is that formation when Juszczyk does a lot of motioning,
Yep.
redirection. It can be a toss. It could be an inside run. It could be a play action pass. And with that formation alone, and with the way that the offensive line is positional blocking, that's creating the space for Christian McCaffrey on inside. And you have to give a shout out to Jake Tunges.
Yep.
You have to give a shout out to Jennings, who sealed the edge on that toss for a touchdown for Christian McCaffrey. And you have to give a shout out to those interior offensive linemen, Brendel, Burford, and a lot of those guys had their best game in tandem, which is why Christian McCaffrey was able to play the way that he played. What do you think? Which one of Brock Purdy's touchdowns or completions would you put top tier from this past game?
The one, the one where he layered that, he absolutely dominated the middle of the field from 15 yards beyond. Brock Purdy was just absolutely carving those dudes up. I forget the exact play, and maybe it even did go for a touchdown, but he layered a throw in the middle of the field.
Jawan Jennings? The dig that came out.
It was the Jennings
or was
dig.
it the 4th and 3 to Ricky Pearsall? It was a dig as well.
That one too.
In the pocket and stepped up.
But it was the Jennings touchdown where he layered that throw over the linebackers, and Jennings was there. But there were also, I think, 3 Chicago Bears defenders right there. Everything worked perfectly. Had enough time from the offensive line. Brock Purdy hit that back foot, just an absolutely perfect throw. Like the difference between Brock Purdy and Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams throws nothing but fastballs. Brock Purdy's got that fastball, but he's also got that touch to layer that ball over there in the exact right position for Jennings. And then Pearsall, speaking of blocking, wide receiver blocking, Pearsall comes in with that block to eventually spring Jennings. That to me was the best throw for sure.
And what he did that was most incredible that you didn't mention there, Rod, was that was a cover 2.
Yeah.
Where they're supposed to have the middle linebacker run through the middle, and his ability to have eye discipline, be staring at Tunges.
Good call.
To get the hook player, the middle read player to jump down, and then layer it in between the left hook player and the middle linebacker is something that it takes a while to develop for quarterbacks. Because a lot of times we want to see what's happening. We're worried about the rush, but he's so comfortable back there that his eye discipline and manipulation of the players on defense is top tier right now. So that's one of Brock Purdy's major attributes. I think we need to talk a little bit about the route running of Ricky Pearsall. Did you see the inside? Look like he gonna run a dig, put that left foot in the ground, defensive back fall. The guy is fucking smooth as butter, baby. And if they can continue to target Ricky Pearsall, it'll fully make them forget about Brandon Ayuk, because I think this guy can go to another level. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's why they went and got him. That's why they brought him in first round, because they saw the potential. But you're absolutely right, Dante. His route running is phenomenal. My biggest thing for him is just hoping that he can stay healthy. He stay healthy. I mean, I think his sky's the limit, especially with all the weapons they have. And again, when you have a running back like Christian McCaffrey and just the running game period, because I like what B. Robinson is doing as well, adding that extra element. But
Yeah.
man, when you have a running game, it opens up the pass game, and like you say, Purdy is he knows where to go with the ball, and he's able to get it there. And the way that they hold the guys on defense, and then hit the exact play you need, man, I love it. I love it.
Another thing that we've seen from the offense in the red zone, Pat, that I wanted to ask you about was the Chicago Bears defending the quarterback run game, where you either fake it to Christian McCaffrey or hand it off to him. But Brock has unlocked another level of Kyle Shanahan's offense by being able to keep the ball, throw it on the run it in, run away from defenders. As a linebacker, if we're playing that, right, how difficult is that to defend in the red zone?
I mean, it's very difficult because now when you have a quarterback that has a threat to run, now it makes 11 on 11, where before it's 11 on 10. And Rod, it kind of reminds me of what we've been saying about the Eagles. If the Eagles just maybe added that element in a little bit, that can make their offense, make their offense that much more down. But going back to the Niners, it absolutely opens up that offense. And now you have to respect the fact that he will keep the ball. And if he does keep the ball, he can handle him. If he don't keep it, he can hand it off. And so I think it's a great element to their game, and the fact that they even using him and trusting him to do that. But going back, Dante, when you asked about the quarterback throws, what was Brock Purdy's best play? Mine was, I'm a scrambling guy. I love how he had that little scramble to the left side over there. How,
You got jiggy with it, baby.
got jiggy with it, and you looking, and you like, oh, he's gonna run it down, so he's stopping, and just awareness to keep his eye down the field and just, hit it for the touchdown. I'm like, man,
it felt illegal.
Hey, I said,
it felt like he was too close to the end zone to throw it, and to know where you are on the field.
Yeah, it looked
not panic, to really get inside that space in between two defenders and then just flick it out there. That shows a level of awareness that we've only seen from Patrick Mahomes. We've only seen those type of plays outside the pocket from Patrick Mahomes. And then when you look at the quarterback play of Brock Purdy and the touchdowns that he's thrown in the past few weeks, 80% of them were outside of the pocket.
Mm-hmm. Put some respect on him, man. Hey, put some respect on the man.
Put some respect on his name. So we're talking about put some respect on his name, right? We've heard a lot of doubters. We've heard a lot of Brock Purdy hate. Oh, he's just a system quarterback. Is the debate over?
Yes. There was never a debate, but yes.
Or do we have to wait till February to end the debate? Is the debate over, or do we have to wait till February?
I think the debate about him being a creation of Kyle Shanahan's system, being a system quarterback, that debate, for whatever it was or for whatever it's worth, is over. The next debate is going to be, is Brock Purdy truly elite? And you don't get elite status in this league as a quarterback unless you win a Super Bowl. So I think what he is doing this season is just a confirmation of what, I reference this all the time because we were sitting next to each other in the press box when Brock Purdy was pressed into emergency duty when Garoppolo got hurt. And remember, D, he came out there and he was just firing in the middle of the field, and we both look at each other like, yo, man,
shit,
what's up with this kid, right? And then the next game against the Dolphins are like, okay, we're going to blitz him because Brian Flores was the coach, if I'm remembering correctly. He just absolutely ate up that blitz. By the way, Brock Purdy was 6-9 for over 150 yards against the Chicago blitz. So what he was doing back then, as a rookie, is the same thing he's doing right now. So again, I just think what Purdy is doing now is just a confirmation of what, if you were paying attention, what you've already seen, what you've already known. Now it's about taking that next step of, okay, he's an extremely good quarterback in today's NFL. Can he lead his team to a Super Bowl victory? Because as we've been talking about, what is leading this Niner team is not their defense, not necessarily the running game the way it used to be. It's Brock Purdy being the trigger man for this offense in full.
Playing 11 years in the NFL on defense, being around some brilliant defensive coordinators, knowing how they think, how they worry. I'm going to say that when defensive coordinators right now are watching the 49ers offense in totality and the display that Christian McCaffrey put on Sunday night, when they're seeing the way that Kyle Shanahan is catching the defense and exactly what we thought you were going to be in, figuring out for the quarterback and the offense and attacking your weaknesses with precision, When they see the way that Brock Purdy is being creative outside the pocket, these defensive coordinators are losing sleep and they are not going to be able to figure this out. So if the 49ers can keep that spacing on the ground, if they can not turn the football over, if they can get Brock Purdy still on the move, this is a scary offense.
Yeah.
This is really an offense that, I said earlier that maybe they won't be able to put up the numbers. You never feel like they're out of it.
100%.
And that's all you can ask for.
Yep. That's why I'm bullish on them. Again, everything you guys are saying about the defense is absolutely true. But man, this is the best offense in football, flat out.
And there's an unsung hero on the offensive side of the ball, Demarcus Robinson.
Yep.
Came over from the Los Angeles Rams. You remember every time the 49ers would play him, he would figure out a way to get a big play.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing it for the 49ers now. And his chemistry with Purdy is looking amazing. That's one of the throws that we didn't mention. Remember, Brock stepped up and he underthrew it a little bit. He crossed right there by the goal line.
Yeah.
And then even last week, he had another big play. How important, Pat, are these unsung heroes that people really don't game plan around? How important are they for playoff success?
Man, very important because, like you say, they are the hidden gems in those offenses. Because obviously, they're big time players, but it's always that one other guy or two, and it's not just Robinson; it's also Kendrick Bourne.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just. What I love about this offense is, yes, you may say who you want to be the key person, but it all depends on how the defense is playing you, and each one of them can make a play at any given time. But it goes back to what Rod said: it's that guy at the quarterback ham that's just opening it all up. Because if you didn't have a quarterback that could throw or could do anything maneuver, you would just load the box and keep them from running the ball. But the fact that he can direct the offense, he can they can they can hand the ball off, they can run it, and or they can get in any passing situation, and he can make the throws. You got something special. And then when it comes to the defensive side, you just got to keep fighting, and I would say just continue to do what they've been doing, man. Just make enough plays or make the play that you need to make when you need it.
After watching that game and watching both quarterbacks and offenses go blow for blow, I believe I have a newfound respect for Caleb Williams. I thought that he was really just like a little fairy, like to paint his nails, just all about the limelight, but he has grit. He has talent. He has the ability to throw any football, any place, and he has a cannon. And what he's doing right now with the Chicago Bears, it's really monumental right now for this day and age in football, knowing what the Chicago Bears have been through for really like the last decade and a half. So I have a newfound respect for Caleb Williams, and I think that tandem with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams,
Yeah.
that's going to be something to be reckoned with for the next few years. So I just want to give him his flowers, and I think that the Chicago Bears, they have a real chance in the playoffs this year.
Once Caleb Williams learns touch, like I said earlier, every ball he throws is 100 miles an hour. And it looks good when it's in the air, and it definitely looks good when it's caught. But sometimes he will throw some balls that, even though it hits you in the hand, you're supposed to catch it. They're difficult passes to catch because they're just coming from such a short distance, coming so fast. I saw this stat before the game this past Sunday that Caleb Williams has lost 352 passing yards due to drops. The Bears dropped, I believe, in the fourth quarter, 7 passes. And think about those passes that were dropped. They were all just zoom. They were just all just fastballs that caught guys wrong. When he figures out just kind of touch and nuance, Caleb Williams is going to be even more of a problem than he is right now.
You remember Heisman Trophy winner, Ohio State quarterback Troy Smith?
Yes, sir.
I played in high school with him. So I played tailback and wide receiver on the offensive side of the ball. Troy was like that in high school, to where he would just zip it in there to where he had me, Ted Ginn, and a bunch of other guys that went Division I really thinking that we couldn't catch. I mean, like we were like doing everything. We just talking like, man, we can't catch, man. Right? So he would just zip it in there. So I understand that shit. And you like, I'm already worried about the defense.
Right.
Man, just lay it out there, and then that shit just come zip, and you drop it. You like, shit, I don't know about this football thing. So I understand what those receivers
He
over there in
drove you to play
Chicago.
safety.
Absolutely, that's why I played defensive back.
You think
Troy.
that's just you think that's just part of being you think that's just part of like you say, right? I think that's just part of being young. Like when
Yeah,
you're young, you're still
yeah,
trying to figure it out. So you just use
100%.
the speed and power just to get it there. But then once you start knowing exactly where you want to go with it, it starts settling down. It gets light. But I love the fact that he can scramble the way that he scrambled.
Hmm.
I didn't know he could run. I didn't know he was as fast as he appears to be on the
He's a
field.
long strider like Kaepernick.
I said, man,
Yeah.
this guy's pretty fast. Well, he get out there and get some yards. But like you say, Dante, he's playing some good football. Shout out to him.
Well, going into this weekend's games, week 18, this week features massive playoff implications. With the AFC North title and the number 4 seed up for grab, the Ravens and the Steelers. You got the NFC West, number 1 seed up for grabs with the 49ers and the Seahawks. You have the NFC South up for grabs with the Panthers and the Buccaneers. Let's start with the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. Win, you in. Lose, you go home. I want to start particularly with Lamar Jackson. Should they start Lamar Jackson in this pivotal game? And if they don't start Lamar Jackson, what message is this sending to their communion?
You better start Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, why would you not start? Why would you not start
Well,
Lamar?
the backup quarterback played the last 2 games, I believe, and didn't they win one, or they at least won last week? So that's what the debate is. Should they start the backup or Lamar Jackson?
It ain't no debate. All right. It was like it ain't no debate with Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. All right. Credit to what Mac Jones did. As we have seen, Brock Purdy is clearly the superior quarterback. Snoop Huntley, shout out to you, brother. Even Lamar Jackson, who is banged up and not playing well this year, Lamar Jackson is a threat. And that threat alone makes him the better choice. Not to mention his gifts when he's out there on the football field.
And I totally agree with you, Rod. I think that this week's game plan for the Baltimore Ravens should be to have Lamar Jackson on the field, but also do a lot of that quarterback run game, and particularly focus on getting Henry the ball. Derrick Henry.
Yeah, at least the threat of the run game. Exactly.
Yeah, at least the threat of the run. And I
Yeah.
don't care what you say. I'm giving Derrick Henry the ball 40 times.
Hell yeah.
Pat, as defenders, what are the motherfuckers thinking when Derrick Henry is touching that rock 40 times, right?
It's gonna be a long game.
It's going to be a long game. You want to hit him 2 or 3 times, but you don't want to hit that motherfucker 10 times.
So what?
Right?
So he went off last game. They say he carried the ball for 36 carries, but I'm trying to figure out
over 200 yards, and they were going tosses, inside runs. He was running guys over. The patented hit stick, push you to the sideline was on full display. So that would be my game plan. Rod, you didn't say who you're picking to win that game. The Steelers or the Ravens?
I'm picking the Ravens because I believe Lamar Jackson is going to play. DK Metcalf is not going to play because he's still serving his 2-game timeout for being handsy with a fan. So give me the Ravens.
Who you got, Pat?
Man, I want to say the Ravens, but they haven't been that consistent this year. But neither has the Steelers. I'm gonna say I don't know. I almost want to say the Steelers because Mike Tomlin have this something magic on him that he just finds a way to get that extra win somehow. And what they have going on there in Baltimore right now, it might be time. They might be moving house in a little while. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers.
I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I think that Derrick Henry, I think that defense will play better. I think they'll feed Derrick Henry. I think Lamar Jackson will show you why he's Lamar Jackson. And this is a team that nobody wants to see make the playoffs. You do not want to see the Baltimore Ravens. I don't care if their defense isn't up to par this year. If Lamar Jackson is the opposition and he can run around and make people miss and throw touchdowns, you are probably in trouble. So that's a team that a lot of teams in the AFC doesn't want to see make the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. When it comes to the Panthers and the Buccaneers, who are you going with, Rod?
Man, the Bucs have been trending downward for seemingly the last 2 months. Having protection issues, which is wild because their offensive line is generally thought of as one of the best. They can't rush the quarterback on the defensive side. So give me the Panthers.
Yeah. Man, I'm gonna ride with you, Rod, on this. I feel like the Bucs are running through a dysfunctional phase right now. They have a lot of arguing. They talk.
Mhm.
Coach may not be there. Like the guys may not be bought into the coach anymore, and the Panthers, like, they've had some momentum, and I feel like they are starting to buy into their new coach, and starting to play for him. And so I'm gonna go with the Panthers.
Well, there's nothing delicious about a shit sandwich, but I'm going to go with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield. If we can think back to the first 8 games of the season, he was in an MVP conversation.
Yeah.
They had some injuries with Mike Evans, but I think they're pretty healthy on the offense side of the ball, and they've been on a slide. Their defense can always be aggressive, and that's real tricky because tip balls, interceptions, overthrows, and then I just really don't believe in Bryce Young. When I'm watching them, it's just too much side to side. They're throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage a lot. They're relying too much on Ricky Dowdle. I do like their corners, but I do believe that Baker Mayfield is due for a big game, so I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I could see Todd Bowles throwing stuff at Bryce Young that he's never seen before, even if they do play in the same division.
So
Absolutely. So I think I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
yeah, dang.
Another big game, the big game. The Seahawks, the 49ers. Number 1 seed is on the line. The NFC West crown is on the line. The 49ers beat them in the previous matchup in Seattle. Who are you taking?
I make it a point, when discussing football, especially with you cats or anybody, to not be quarterback centric, because I think that poisons a lot of football discourse. We just focus on quarterback, as important of a position as it is. We focus on the quarterback and we forget the other stuff. So I'm going to say this. This is going to be a line of scrimmage game. Can an improved Niner offensive line, and D, you mentioned it, the inside of the Niners offensive line, once they got that stability at left guard, Brendel came back at center, and Dominic Puni got healthy. Once that solidified in the middle of the season, the Niners have been a better football team, obviously better offensively. Can this Niner offensive line, and I don't know if Trent Williams is going to play, can it handle a really, really, really good Seattle defensive line? If they can handle it, keeping Brock Purdy clean, that run game get going, I see the Niners winning it. I see the Niners winning it at the line of scrimmage.
Who you got, Pat?
I agree with you 100%, Rod. It's going to be an in-the-trenches game. If the 49ers can get that rhythm that they have on offense, if they can keep it going, keep it hot, I think that they do well over there. But then I think it's going to come down to the defense that, obviously makes the most turnovers and get the right stops when they need it. I'm going with the Niners. I'm tell Dante often, I'm a faithful guy through and through. This team all year long has just been grit, and they've been finding a way to win the games when they need to win. So I'm going to go with the Niners.
I think the key to the game is one change on defense. Diamador Lenore shadowing Jackson Smith and
I was
Jigba.
going to ask you if they should do that. Good.
So go ahead, shadow him. I don't care if you're in zone coverage. I don't care if you're in man coverage. You should be to his side of the field.
Does he run? Does
And
he
if
run,
you-
though? Does he?
He doesn't really run. If
That's
you
not-
neutralize Jackson Smith and Jigba and you put pressure on Sam Darnold
Yep.
over the last 3 weeks, he's shown that he's severely turnover prone. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to turn the football over. He simply relies on throwing the ball deep or over the middle to Jackson Smith and Jigba. And in the intermediate, he likes to go to Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, if you can do that, the 49ers will be victorious, and I think they will do that. I think I saw something out there where the Amador said, I'm going to shadow him.
Yeah, he said he wanted him. He's like,
I'm going to shadow
I
him.
want him, man.
If that's what you want, boss,
Hey,
that's what I'm going to give you, boss.
I watching TV and I heard it. I heard it and I'm like, okay. I was like, all right, big dog. Hey, I believe in you. Then let's see what you got, because he said he wanted him, and oh boy, now
Put it all out there. Drop your nuts. That's what we call drop your nuts.
hey,
You understand?
hey, Dante, and oh boy, ain't bad. So when I heard him call him out, I said, oh,
I don't know if he should be doing that shit.
you know me, I'm gonna be quiet and just go out there and get it done, and then let y'all talk
Yeah.
about it. He said, hey, I want him, me and him all game long. So I said, okay, let's go.
But before we get out of here, I want to ask you a question, Pat, because you lost a lot of games in your career.
Mm-hmm.
And you went home early a lot of times in your career. So did I in Buffalo.
Like,
And we had no chance to make the playoffs. We weren't even fucking sniffing the playoffs, right? What advice would you give to players who are playing this week that no longer are in playoff consideration? What was your mind process and thought process in those games that were basically meaningless?
Man, that every game means something, big or small, from management to how your teammates view you. And so I think this is where you find out what guys are about. And then this will also, this is where you find out what guys are about. But other teams are also watching to see what kind of fight you have when you don't have a reason to really go out there and lay it all on the line. So I would say, man, treat this game as if it's your first game. Play it tremendously great with everything you got so you can go into the offseason feeling good and have something to build on. You don't want to go into the offseason feeling like you didn't even finish the season, even though you didn't go, even though you didn't make the playoffs.
So Pat, what about those guys that have the intention on taking the field and not really giving their best, trying not to get injured heading into the offseason? What would your advice be for them?
It's never, me personally, I don't think it's ever safe to play like that. And I would say, man, you better, this is your job. There ain't no guarantees, and that eye in the sky is watching. And these day and time, you don't want to leave. You don't want to give no teams no ammo as to why they don't want you to be a part of their squad. So I would say go out there and shit, man, play like it's your first game of the season, like you still got something to prove.
And with that, that's the end of episode 18 of the Greg Cole podcast. And Seattle ahead, stakes rising. The team proved a lot, but the story isn't finished. Make sure to follow and subscribe on X, Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And from myself, Patrick and Rod, remember, it's not just a code, it's a way of life. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.